we've seen it have a nice little pullback of about 10%. So it's sitting around 4,000 US dollars an ounce at the moment, unless there was a big move overnight. So do you think it's now become a very expensive insurance policy, or would you still be a buyer of gold at these levels?
Wow. You know how excited I get about gold. Okay, to address the big question, is it still an insurance policy? My answer to that is yes. The wonderful thing though about gold, Eugene, is we don't know how to value it because we can't value it. And so really the price of gold is anything we want it to be. And we can use our imagination. It's a wonderful thing in that regard. But just to be serious for a minute, I mean, gold has been a store of value for 5,000 years. So there's a lot has happened in the last 5,000 years. We think a lot's happened in the last 3 months since we last spoke at this forum. There's a lot happened in the last 5,000 years, and we won't replay. I'm sure most viewers will be relieved. I won't go through the last 5,000 years. The bottom line is, despite all the turmoil, the turbulence, revolution, war, famine, the gold has been this reliable store value. So that's point one. Point two. So we've got this axis of autocracy. We spoke about the Russian invasion of Ukraine and why that was a defining moment in history, and that led to a lot of central banks around the world accumulating gold. We now have an institutional bid, and we've got the retail bid, and we see that through inflows into the various gold ETFs. We now have major investment research firms publishing papers demonstrating that gold is a sensible inclusion in your portfolio because of its diversification benefits. So we've got all statistical analysis around correlations, et cetera, et cetera. How does gold perform in times of stagflation? How does gold perform in times of other periods of dislocation? And gold, kind of does its work for you in a portfolio construct. So within the kind of universe of portfolio construction, there is this kind of argument to be made for gold. So those are all the kind of positives. Now, with anything like gold, it's ultimately a commodity, and as we've already discussed, we don't know how to value it. We don't do enterprise value to sales multiples or EBITDA or any other da. It's simply what it is. It's a commodity that doesn't generate any income, any dividend, or any coupon. So what does that mean? It means basically it's purely a function of supply and demand. And my argument remains, given I still believe that we have an axis of autocracy in the world, and I wrote about that just prior to the invasion of Ukraine. I think that's been amplified in the last 3 years or so. And moving forward, we have very high levels of debt in much of the developed world, anxiety around how that all plays out, particularly in countries like Britain and also countries like France. So basically, my broad macro fiscal / geopolitical framework of thinking leads me to believe that gold will continue to play a role as an insurance policy. So that means that opens the door to higher levels. But, and I said this a few months ago, when we had that surge in gold, we went up to 4,400, Eugene, 4,400. And I published a piece around that time or just before, watch out, it's gone parabolic. We need to come back down. And we dropped $400. So we're now trading, as we speak, the futures are 4,133. That's the front contract, 4,133. After that very sharp 10% correction, some gold people are saying, you know what, that was useful. We needed that breather because we just have got parabolic. Nothing ever goes on a parabolic curve forever. We've set back down. I mean, longer term, I speak to a lot of people about gold, as you can imagine. Some of my subscribers, I can only classify them as gold bugs. I hope they're not listening to this broadcast. And they're fanatics. I mean, they're complete fanatics. And they want me to say in my report that it's going to 10,000, and I've told them to go away. I mean, can it go to 5,000? Of course it can. Could it go to 10,000? Who knows? Because this thing doesn't have an intrinsic value. But coming back to the beginning, does it have a place as an insurance policy? I do believe it does.